I would be like, how do I get rid of that?
All right, so it looks like we're all here. And I will start by introducing myself. I'm Rosie, the Goodyear Arts and Culture Specialist. And we have Deborah here. She will be leading us in an interactive um, watercolor paint class, and we will be doing Pond of Koi today. We can see a little bit of those in the background. They look beautiful already.
Thank you.
Um, Thank you all for joining us, and I will go ahead and drop some tip options on the comments later on during the stream. And then I will also be taking any questions. You can use reactions if you need to get my attention, or simply type a comment or message in our chat box, and then I will get that information over to Deborah as soon as they come in. So we'll go ahead and get started.
Yay. Well, welcome to a watercolor class, Asian style. So if you thought you were doing pet portraits, not this week. I know we have a lot of fun stuff coming up for the month of May. Thank you, Goodyear. I happen to live in an amazing city that's partnering with me, and they said that, hey, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm an artist, and I'd be happy to take my classes online and offer them to you. I see some of your names. I recognize some that I've actually had in class before, or I've been on artist panels with before. If this is your first time, I'm so glad you're joining us. If you've never painted before or used watercolors before, that's okay, because I'm going to walk you through how much fun this is. And this is really for all ages, all skill level. When we're done here today, if the hour and 15 is going to go pretty quick, you can still take it a step further and incorporate some of the things I talk about as we paint together. Since this is watercolor and we are doing fish today, I'm going to be tilting my camera down so that you can see me working. Otherwise, we'd have a big drippy mess if I was standing here like I did if you joined me Thursday night. I was up on my easel. So watercolor is a different animal, or in this case, fish, and so we don't want them to like swim away. We gotta work with a flat surface. So let's go over what tools you have. You should have gotten a supply list, and you should have been able to find something heavy. This happens to be watercolor paper, and if you have copy paper like this, which sounds kind of flimsy, it's probably not going to work because it's not going to hold up against the weight of the water. You're also going to need some brushes. So hopefully you have something a little odd, like really wide, and maybe toward the end, if you want to do some dots and dibbles and dabs, that you've got something a little bit thinner. It doesn't have to be a really nice brush. Honestly, this is a very elementary technique that I do. So like I said, this could work for even the grandkids if they're doing it with you today. So your brushes don't have to be the best in the world. Even if they're losing hair, it'll be part of the texture in your pond of fish. You're going to want to have some watercolors. It doesn't, I've just got a little Crayola set, or this one is the Prang set. It doesn't matter. You do not have to have the tube kind. In fact, I'll give you a little hint. Whenever one of these runs out, like I use a lot of blue, I just go get a blue tube and squirt it right in that little pan, and then I have it, close it up, travel with it, whatever I want to do with it. I don't have to go out and buy all the expensive watercolor in the tube. Okay, and then you should have a cup of water. I make a blue cup so that way I don't confuse it with my drinking cup. This is nasty. Like it's really good. Yeah. And a couple of napkins, paper towels, something. And the fact that we're trying to conserve our paper towels and napkins right now, I just reuse those that I'm painting with. So they'll dry and you can still reuse it to paint the next painting. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Oh, and a pencil. You have a pencil. Great. Okay, so I hope you're ready to go. I've got my apron on. Watercolor usually comes out of your clothes, but just in case, I do keep putting my apron on. So I'm going to tilt my camera down just a little bit so you can see my table circles. And from time to time, I might tilt it back up. So here we go. All right. Voila. Okay, so I've got a piece of paper here, fresh, to work with. And here are my fish. And the thing about doing koi is they're swimming, they're moving, and we want to create this sense of movement. So when I was doing some research a while back, I was looking at the movie from Disney, the Fantasia movie, and I saw this diagram. I thought this was really, really cool. So when the screen artists were trying to figure out how they were going to animate the movie, they were studying the pattern of how fish are swimming. And I love this. So it made me think of how I could teach this very easily, because we could just draw a series of figure eights. Everybody can do that. And then we can put the spine of the fish on the figure eights. So let's do that. I've got my pencil. I'm going to use a blue pencil so it shows up a little bit better to you. So what I'm going to do is just start to scribble a figure eight. La 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 la, and stop. Try not to go crazy with 40 figure eights, or you'll have a hard time deciding where to put your fish. So that's what I did. Now, fish. What about fish? Woo, they're all swimming, they're going crazy. But what I want to do is put the body of the fish onto the actual figure eight. So, for purposes of showing you this, so pretend like you have one of these little swim guys, right? And I am going to put him over here on top of one of my lines, like that. And I'm just going to draw the outline of the fish. You're not going to have this little guy, but what I want you to see is that I have drawn a shape of a fish. What is the shape of a fish? It's an oval with a little triangle on the end. I'm going to draw heavy. You don't have to draw as heavy as me. Right? Do you see what I'm doing? So that's one. I love to do odd numbers. So I'm going to do two more to go with this single fish, just like I did in my sample. Right? So I got one fish. I'm going to do two more. So here we go. That's one. Let's see. Maybe I could do one right here. So I'm going to do one right here along that scribbly line, because that's where he swam and he's in this big pool. Did you know that carp and koi have been around for, millions of years? They started out in the Caspian Sea, the Black Caspian Sea, and they actually were black. They weren't always these beautiful colors, and I'm about to show you the thousands of colors that they come in. All right, now I'm going to do a third one here, and I think this time I kind of want his head pointing the other direction. So I'm going to do a big oval here and give him a nice swishy tail like that. All right, so can you see my three fish? I hope you can all see that. I'll let you get caught up. You've got your three fish. If you don't like where you placed one of them, just put another one on the scribble line. Like you could choose this line or this line down here and put another one, or a baby fish. There we go. Okay, so now I've got three bodies with tails. Three bodies with tails that looks like the beginning of Fantasia, right? I love some of the older Disney movies much better than some of the current stuff. But I love, too, that when they swim, they wiggle that tail. So your tail can be swinging a little bit off. It doesn't have to be straight in line with the body. All right, now, obviously water, everybody thinks water is actually blue. Well, is it really blue? I mean, I've got my drinking water here and it's clear. It's just a reflection of what's going on in the sky above. So I'm going to pull my watercolors over. It's time to get painting. We're just going to get right into it because that's what I love to do. I just want to just have fun and not be intimidated by a white canvas. So I always use like a little spray bottle handy to wet my paint, but you may not have that handy. So just dip into your little cup, dip your brush into your can of watercolors, and we'll be able to start painting. We're going to paint the background, meaning the water first, not the fish. So let's go ahead and dip into some cool colors that reflect the sky. Maybe it's reflecting the dirty pond below, so you might have some green, mossy green, might have some purple rocks, might have some blue from that sky. Stay away from the warm colors. What is a warm color? Well, these are your warm colors that look like the sun or fire. So we're going to save those for our carp, our koi, and we're going to use the cool colors, green, blue, and purple. I like to use, guess what? I love to use my figure 8 as a place to actually tell me when to switch from blue to green. So I might do blue here, but I might go green in here. So that's what's fun about having those marks there. It kind of gives you some design possibilities to change it up a little bit. So we can get pretty dark. Now you know why I got paint on the table here, because I can't stand it up with this the watercolors. So we'll just paint around all these fish. Now, I know I didn't tell you to have any table salt handy, but this is something that after today you could try this again and implement some really fun things to do when your watercolors are wet. Have you ever heard of table salt? Of course you've heard of table salt. I could just sprinkle a little table salt in my hand and put it right over my drawing, and salt absorbs water. So you get these really cool looking crystallizing that's happening. I love that. So I always keep a little salt handy when I'm painting backgrounds and water. Because you want to create bubbles. Oh, speaking of bubbles, maybe you've got bubbles in the garage or you go to the dollar store. And it has to be wet, like this has to be wet. And I might blow a bubble on there and get a nice little ring. That's not something I put on your supply list because I didn't think it's going to be easy for you to go out and do. But that little bubble is going to sit there a while. And when he finally pops, he's going to leave a nice little ring or some texture in the back. So those are just fun things I like to do to enhance my art. Okay, so I'm going to keep going with the blues. Maybe I'm going to put a little green in this little pocket here. Oh my gosh, loving that. That's a good place for some green there. Maybe a little green right in here. I don't care if it gets onto my fish line because they're in the water. So a little green that's going to mix with my orange fish is going to be a nice little shadow. So don't try to be so perfect with coloring in the lines. I do not love to color in the lines. I'm not good at it, and why try? Nothing in nature is perfect anyway. So let's just not worry about that. That was a little dark. I sprinkled some salt on it. You could dab it with your tissue. Little napkin. Like if you got too dark somewhere, look how I'm just dabbing at it. I love dark, so I remind that some of you may be more dainty and pastel in your style, and you could certainly do that. All right, I'm going to keep going here with my cool colors. Aw, so nice. I can see Kendra up there working. I can't quite see all of you working. but I know that you're working hard. Some of you, I noticed your names. I've had you in classes before. Welcome, welcome, Carolyn, Paulette, Janice, Erica. We got some here from Houston, Texas. Awesome. Wayne, Ava. Oh, this is great. Love you guys. I'm glad you were able to join in today and take part in this little Wednesday class. And why are we doing this on a Wednesday? Well, when I was asked to do this, or actually when they said, hey, what can you do? I thought, well, I would do a Wednesday because that's kind of the midweek and you got all the major stuff out of the way, and then you're kind of going, well, phew, all right, what else we got going this week? Just want to have a little bit of some downtime. This is very de-stressing, right? There's nothing difficult about this, or you don't have to think much. You're just letting the water do all the flowing. Watercolor is, believe it or not, is one of the most difficult mediums because you can't control the water. You just let it go, let it flow. And Wednesdays seem like a good time of the week to just check in with everybody, make sure we're all still enjoying life, even if we are still inside during this pandemic that we are experiencing. And even though some parts of the country are opening back up, I know you're limiting your ability to just go get what you need to get done and get back. So this will be a good exercise for you. Midweek, I've got another class on Saturday coming up. And we're going to be doing a flower. And you can choose to do it in watercolor or acrylics. We'll do it in up close. Now I've got a couple of other little pockets that I could even mix two colors. I bet you're like, what? I don't have blue-green. I don't have, blue violet. Well, you can mix it. That's what this area is for. So have you ever wondered why Crayola stuck a little ridge here in the little palette? Well, you could make a color in each of these and they won't mix with one another. So I could take a little bit of blue, put it right here, wash your brush off, take a little purple, mix it with the blue. Oh, I double dipped, but that's okay. I'm the teacher. I can double dip. Okay, and now I've got a new color that I just made. You can also make that color right onto the canvas, and that's called painting wet on wet. So I got a new color here that I can put right here, like that. Ooh, that's really pretty. Okay, I can do the same thing. I could take green and a little bit of blue. And now I've got a beautiful teal color. Look at that. That's really pretty. So I'm going to put the teal. Ooh, I really like that right in there. That's really pretty. So that's what those little dividing lines are for. That was so clever of them to create that. And then when you're done for the day, look, I can just wipe that right out of my tray and it's ready for the next color to mix when I do my fish. Oh. Now, do you see that my paper is starting to curl? I could have had you before we started to spray the back. So I usually give the back of the paper before I start 2 squirts, and then I smooth it around with my hand, and then we would have had to wait 5 minutes before it got dry. We just wanted to get into it today. After we're done today, if it's still kind of curling up on you, and after the whole piece is dry, flip it over, squirt it, or just put a little bit of water, tiny bit of water in your hand, and smooth it all over the back so that both sides of the paper get equal amount of water weight to kind of let it lay flat. If it's still curling on you, if it's still creating waves, your pond is like waving around, guess what? You could flatten it with one of those big coffee table books and get it to lay flat. Typically with watercolor, you definitely want to put this behind glass or behind plexiglass because it is susceptible to getting some damage with people touching it and getting it wet. Because what happens when you wet watercolor, it's going to get wet again and everything's going to melt away. So that's why it's a challenging, very challenging medium, working with this medium. All right, I'm going to get this a little bit closer here. Okay, so I've got everything drying now to the outer edge, and I'm focusing a little bit more now on my fish. This is the original Crazy 8 line that goes right through the spine of my fish. What do I mean by the spine of my fish? Well, that's that crazy area. Oh, there's Sonia. That's this area here where his fin, like his fin is going to be. And it was right on my Crazy 8 line. So, let's talk about that. So here is my little fish diagram. And you can see here's that Crazy 8 line that went right through his spine. And this is the fish body, and there's his tail. We didn't even do any detail yet for his tail or his little gills, nothing like that. We haven't done scales, we haven't done any of that. That's at the end. We're working on covering the whole canvas first. We used cool colors. If you're just joining us, this is cool colors to the background. I mixed a few other cool colors to get teal and blue violet, and I'm saving the fish for the warms. And remember I said there's like a whole variety of warm colors for fish? I just want to show you a few to inspire you. The Asians have been painting them for a long time. Like I said, they originated in the Caspian Sea as black. They were black carp. What happened over time is their diet fed them. So let's say the Asians began doing the rice paddy farms, filling up the ponds and stuff with different nutrients. And so the fish changed. They've changed color. I have just a little diagram here of not even the thousands of varieties, but oh my gosh, look at all of them. It's crazy cool. I mean, there's some with just a red dot on their back. There's some with little stripes. There's some with blobs, just looks like painted blobs, gold, blue, gray. There's all these varieties based on whatever was growing in the water and what we've added to the water so that we could grow things in there. And the fish actually help propagate and make the water healthy for the food that we eat. Here's a close-up of some of them taken at the Japanese Friendship Garden down in Central Phoenix, where I live. And I just love how they're just swimming around, and some are on top of others. Look, there's a ugly brown one here. Okay, how do you make brown? Well, guess what? When you mix all your colors together, you're going to get brown. So I don't advise you to do a brown fish, but you could end up with the brown fish because you never know with watercolor. And let's look at some of the details of the fish. While you're still do you realize I'm just kind of letting that background dry while I'm showing you some fish ideas. So here I have a we'll call it a goldfish or carp or koi. And you can see that he's got these fantastic fins and the tail. I just love it. I think it's just really beautiful. So we're going to want to have some of that on our fish. So I don't know if your fish area around your fish is dry. Like this area right here seems to be a little dry. I'm going to go ahead and block in that this is going to be an area. You could just take your pencil where there's going to be a fin right there. And maybe I have to use a different color pencil so you can see that well. I'll use red. How about that? Okay, so I'm just trying to block in where I think I might have a little bit more interest going on for my fish. Obviously your pencil won't work where it's still wet. My daughter has a betta fish, and I like how big and flowy their fins are. You can see this one back here. It just looks like a big fan. And here's some more pictures of some of them. Let's see. Okay, so that gives you some ideas for some shapes as you put those onto your fish. All right, we're not doing eyes yet. I know you want to give them eyeballs, but let's do that at the end. All right, hope we're all doing pretty well. We're halfway into our fish drawing here. So I'll just hold this here for a little bit while you're working on tails and fins. Some ideas for that. So you could do like a leaf for a fan shape, like this. You could do like a moon shape, like a half moon on your fish if you wanted. And you're probably asking at this point, oh, but now my fins are covered with dark. Well, guess what? He's swimming, right? And these are very translucent. I can actually see the color of the water behind this fin. I'm going to show you at the very end if you wanted to add a white opaque, like from your acrylics or your chalk or your white colored pencil after everything's dry, then you can come back and put a little white back into it. You can't do that when the whole drawing is wet. It won't work. So hopefully you're getting some inspiration for some fins and tails. So yeah, pretty cool, huh? I'm going to kind of lay him right here next to us in case some of you are still working on that. And I'm going to back up just a tad here. Okay. Here. There we go. Going to be fun. Yours might have been more in a circle. They might have been, maybe they're more linear. And it's a work in progress. This is going to change tremendously in the next 15 to 20 minutes. You're going to start seeing things come alive. I love this project. I have never seen a koi pond that I didn't love in real life or in the art world. I think they're beautiful. So I wanted to talk to you too about the Asian. This happens to be a fish that I drew with some black ink, right? And you can see those fins, and I'm going to show you how to use the black at the very end once everything is dry. But that's really fun to do. I even wrote my name. I went and looked up my name in Japanese and tried to write it over here in Chinese. You can actually type that into the computer and then sign your work that way. So the fish are very common as a theme in Asian painting. They like to do landscapes the most, and they like to show themselves actually fishing or outside in a garden and enjoying the outside And I think it's fun to notice that one of the 8 most popular things they actually paint, having landscape as number 1, but fish is down the list as something they like to paint. If you do take my class 2 weeks from this Wednesday, we're going to actually do a landscape. So instead of being up close, we're going to be a little bit further back using watercolors. And I'll talk about that intermittently later. So let's go ahead now and use the warm colors on our fish. Mine's pretty much drying, thanks to my talking all this time. So you were probably piddling with it, but that's okay, because we're going to move to in here. If you still have a big wet pool around one of your fish, don't paint that fish first. Go to the one that's most dry around it, just so that your orange doesn't mix with your purple, and then you get a big brown mess, like I talked about earlier. And if you do, oh well, it's not going to bother it. It'll be fine. Okay. So I'm going to go to the warm colors. What are warm colors? For those of you who are beginners or weren't paying attention when you were in kindergarten, which I don't think my son was. I always got notes saying he was kicking the girl's chair in front of him. So I don't think he was paying attention. But the warm colors are those red, yellow, red, orange, and yellow. If you totally are not into that and you want to make them all purple, it's your design. I'm going to go opposite. I love opposites. So I think I'm going to start with orange. Dip my brush into the orange here. And I'm going to make this guy an orange fish. La, 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 la. He's getting all coated. If I had wanted to leave a dot, let's say I want to leave a big white dot on him, you could have put some rubber cement on there or just paint around. So like if I want to leave that little area right here white, you see how I left that little spot white? Because I just wanted to give him a little variation. Or you're going to have to come back in later and paint it white with some acrylic, or get yourself a tube of watercolor white. Because white, believe it or not, is not on your palette. It's not even on the color wheel. And it's opaque. It's titanium. It's an element on the chart. So you're not going to find it in your watercolors. All right, here I go. I'm just going to keep on painting him. The more water on your brush, the more translucent he's going to be. Look how I'm actually barely touching the canvas to get some of those tail feathers. Not really feathers, but you know what I'm saying. Just these little wispy lines. I'm barely touching the canvas. If you push down, you're going to get a broad back line, which is not bad, but it may not be what you want. And with watercolor, you cannot take it away. You could dab at it with your napkin just to try to release some of the color from the page. Now look, I'm going to pull it into where I drew some gills. And it's picking up that color underneath, which I love. Like I can see the purple under there. Oh, I love that. It's really good. Okay, so he's like Speed Racer. All of his gills are going in one direction. Yeah. He's got a big head, but I can skinny him up because I can still take a little more orange and just kind of skinny him up three-dimensionally by darkening the edges with another layer of orange, and it's picking up that blue underneath. All right? You can also skinny up his mouth. Let's say you didn't really love his mouth. Oh, I think I'll pull it out a little bit more like that. So these are times where you can start to shape your fish. What if I want to add a little red to him, maybe give him a little red. You could wait till it's dry, or you could put in some red spots now. Let's see if I can get it right over where I'm working here. Did you see how I'm adding all that little bit of red? Like I'm just barely tapping at it and it's giving him character. If you have the table salt handy, it only works when it's wet. And you'll see how the salt absorbs. It's like when you drop your cell phone in the pool, heaven forbid you do that. But they always say put it in rice or in salt to help absorb water. So you could use rock salt too. It makes bigger marks rather than the table salt, which makes more little splatters. For those of you who work in different mediums, maybe you're a collage artist, fiber artist, which I do both, this is really great to manipulate your paints by using salts and bubbles and all kinds of things that you could use. You could even take a cup or a lid and I could stamp on this and create different bubbles and circles. So try this project again after we're done and come up with some different ways to texturize your beautiful masterpiece. Okay, I could also work on his, I guess that's called the dorsal fin, the one that goes on top, that's our first crazy 8 that we have, that line, that curved line right underneath him. I'm going to wait because mine's really wet right now, but then I'm going to add a line that's dark for his dorsal fin because I want that bold and the closest line to me. So I'm just going to wait on this right here. I'm going to move over to one of the other fish. Oh, I can't wait to see yours. I bet they look amazing. Does anyone have any questions? I think I'll stop right there and give any questions before I do fish number 2. So just let Rosie know if you have any questions. You can write a comment, type in a comment, and I will answer that for you.
And I'll also take this time to go ahead and post on our chat box Deborah's Bravo tip pay code and Venmo and other platforms that she's shared with us that we can go ahead and give her a donation for everything she's doing for us. So once again, you can find that there in the chat box.
Thank you, Rosie, for mentioning that. That's helpful. That helps me keep up and running and getting my supplies to you. All the time and effort. I know it seems like this is just supposed to, and it is supposed to be easy and freeing, and you're not supposed to have to think about all those business matters that go along with being a professional artist, but there are. I do. I have insurance and equipment, overhead, all those other things that everyone else has, so I appreciate everything. It's really sweet of you. I do this full time. I work in all mediums. I teach every age. I have 16 when it's not a pandemic. Students under the age of 17 once a week. I have over 60 crowd teaching creative aging through various cities throughout the valley here, and that all came to a stop, of course. And then I do murals. So, and then my love right now is fiber art. And so anyway, you can contact me at deborahgoleyart.com, and I'd be happy to share with you more about what I do. Any questions? These are going to look so awesome. Okay, well, just ask a question if you need to. I'm going to go ahead and start painting number 2. I think this one's going to be a little yellow. The yellow fish in here. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. We'll probably be peeling fish all day. Okay, so his tail's going to look a little green because what happens when yellow mixes with blue? You get green. But that's okay. It's just making that tail look very translucent. Okay, I'm not here to make it look perfect. There is no perfect in art. Okay, I'm going to put on his little side bills here. They're going to look a little dark against the purple. Purple and orange are opposite. No, purple and yellow are opposite. So actually it's good that I kind of have them next to one another. I've even taught this class to special needs. This is a very enjoyable exercise. It really doesn't matter where your fish are swimming or how they look. Okay, so I've got this beautiful yellow one going, but I think I want to add a little something to it. And remember, I said you could take your tissue and maybe I just want to dab over the top because I want that area to be a little bit lighter. I love how that's coming up on the screen there. I'm glad that you can, hopefully you can see what I'm seeing. And I made him a little lighter right there because I had too much volume, too much, that makes him look skinnier, you know. Okay, so I want to make him look even more skinnier. So I'm going to take my brush and add a little red, along the edges of them. Or you could use purple, the opposite of yellow. Skinny him up just a tad. He doesn't have a face yet, I know. Everybody's so used to adding faces first. We're just working on bodies. I feel like I'm always working on my body now. Oh my gosh, this sitting at home thing is not fun. Okay, so we might have a little variation in color, like he's not solid yellow. He's got some purples bleeding into my yellow. He's got some reds going on here. You can dab at it. If you're getting a big swimming pool and you're not loving that, you can dab at it with your paper towel. Just kind of pick up some of that water. Or you can leave it and see what happens. Okay, I'm going to move to fish number 3. Oh, I wish I could see. I hope it's going to be hard for me to see all of yours at the end because some of you are working from your laptop and you may not, or maybe you'll be able to point your camera down and I'll be able to see some of your artwork too. All right, so let's see. Over here, I'm going to work on, like a yellow-orange one. Remember, I told you how to mix. So I could take my orange and stick it in the tray like that, and then I could put some yellow with it and come up with yellow orange. And I'm painting this fish. It's okay that it's picking up a little of the green and a little of the blue as I go around. I'm going to leave a couple of white spots on in because I just like those white spots. Then I'm going to dry off my brush a little bit, not so watery, and I'm going to stick it into the purple this time because I don't have any purple over in that spot. So I think it'd be fun to kind of give his tail then maybe a little more dark. I'm just dipping it in there. Barely touching the canvas. Hopefully you've got some sturdy paper that's not eating through the paper. And if it is, you'll just know next time to get a heavier. I like to use 100-pound or more. It doesn't matter to me if it's cold pressed or hard pressed. When I illustrate books with watercolor, I usually use a smooth surface because I add pen too. So if I were to put some pen work over this, I'd want the canvas to be smooth, not the little rough that most watercolor is. So different paper for different things. That's why when you go to Michael's or Joann's or Hobby Lobby, you see all that paper. Like, which one? Just make sure the paper is heavy enough. 90, even if it's 90 pounds, that's great. 90 pounds or more, it will hold the weight of the water. Yay! So now, like, it's got a little purple on it. I'm loving that. Exciting. Okay, so I'm going to move this out of the way, get this back in the camera shot. All right, so let's talk about all those scales and mouths and eyes. So I'm going to get my black and white picture back out because I think this is the easiest way to show you in black and white. But you can see he's got this cute little, just a little dash for the mouth, right? Because he's one of those, he's kind of sucking at the food you're throwing at him in the pond. And he might have a few whiskers, so he might put some whiskers on. The eyes are on the side. Don't put eyes on the top of his head, right? Like he's looking at you. They're actually on the side because they're swimming around looking at each other. They're not looking at you. So the eyes are on the side of the fish. So you should be putting them on the side. That means you're just going to see a tiny little dot on the side. And then if you want to draw scales, you could do scales. You could dash along that dorsal line, right? You could put a darker color along the dorsal line. Okay, so if you were to have India ink or some kind of black ink, like it comes like this, says waterproof India ink. So for those of you who want to challenge yourself after today, you could invest in some of this. I then put it in a little container. It's very messy and it's permanent. And this is what the Asian artists use because they invented this and they draw with it. They do all their calligraphy with it. And it doesn't meld, or it doesn't melt. I made that word up. It doesn't mix with the watercolor because it's permanent, whereas this is not. So it will dry and not mix with the rest of your colors. They developed it because they just rubbed a stone, use a little stone, a black stone, and when you rub it against something else, this is an actual piece of rock that creates the ink. And I rub it on that, and then I wet my brush, and now I have black in the brush, just like that. And then it becomes permanent. Da-da-da. See, anyway. Yes, that's how it works. we don't have, everybody doesn't, I didn't ask you to do that. I wanted this to be a very simple exercise. That's just a little hint. So we're going to either use, I said you could have a Sharpie as our option. Sharpies are not acid free. So if you wanted to keep this drawing for more than 10 years, you would need to use a permanent marker that's acid free. And there's a lot on the market. Just make sure you read the label. You can't use the Sharpie on here or the permanent marker until everything is dry, even the India ink, right? Because everything that black would bleed everywhere. So I'm just going to go to an area like back to my first fish because I know he's dry. And I'm going to put very, very little black paint. I have a little black in my my watercolor pan here. And I'm going to put mostly paint, less water. Even though this is watercolor, I just want the tint without the water. Very little water. So that I have just a little bit on my brush. I'm using a smaller brush for this. You could still use your big brush. Okay. I'm going to go onto his dorsal fin. Whoops, I guess I don't have enough water on there. And I'm going to give him a little bit of shading here. Make sure your fish is dry, otherwise it's going to mix with your orange and make a muddy mess. Okay, so now I'm going to barely touching the canvas. Oh, I feel like you're painting like an Asian now. Yes, it's like you're doing calligraphy. Let's give him a little mouth. He's got a mouth. Remember I said eyeballs on the side. Eyeballs on the side. Maybe you can't even see your eyes. Okay, I think I want to go a little bit, maybe I want to make a few scales on this one. You have to kind of know when to stop too, like when too much is too much. So don't try to cover the whole thing with black. The black is just there to hide, to give you some low light, some little interest to the fish. I don't cover the whole thing. But maybe I want to do a few little wispies, little scraggles. Maybe I want to give them some little whiskers. Those little feelers, they're like feelers. Okay, yeah, you're adding the details now. This is the fun part, I think. It's really fun. Okay, so let's go to fish number 2. I think this was the second one I painted, but actually he's still wet. So I'm going to go over here to this one, dip into my black. If you have black, if you don't have black, you could use purple, another dark value of color. Let's give him a mouth. I'm giving him a mouth. I'm going to give him an eyeball. If I had India ink, it definitely wouldn't mix with anything else. It would just stain the paper forever and ever and ever, and that's how their books and documents stayed archived from India ink. I haven't tried India ink on fabric, but I should try and do that and see what happens. Since that's what I work with mostly. I think I'll give him a few little wispies on his tail. And look, I'm just going to follow my little crazy 8 line, like he just swam past there. This is a quiet group. I wonder how many of you are just listening in. You're going to try it later. Any questions for me at this point? Maybe I'll make some cross hatches. Any questions? Looks like there's 5. Is it true there's 5 chats at the bottom, Rosie? I don't know if that's...
Yeah, those, it's just...
Oh, he's got a big mustache.
They're just a couple of questions we had in the beginning, and then our tip links there.
Okay, all right. Well, are they questions that we've already probably answered, or?
Yeah, it was just troubleshooting.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. Okay. I'm gonna make sure we didn't leave anybody behind here. Let me announce while we're drawing mustaches and eyeballs. So I mentioned 2 weeks from now we'll be painting again, kind of Asian style, a landscape. So if you want to tune back in at the same time, if this is a good time for you. And then if you like to acrylic paint, we're going to do that again on a week from Thursday, the 21st. You can sign up. All of these classes are available through the City of Goodyear, through their Parks and Rec office. It's in the Arts and Culture Division. And this Saturday is PJs and Art. I'm so excited. So get the kids out, get the pancakes rolling, and you get to paint along with me a huge flower. I'm going to show you a picture of it in just a second. So you'll get to do that. You can do that in acrylic, or you can do it in your watercolor. So that'll be fun, but we'll get up close, just like Georgia O'Keeffe. And I'm going to walk you through the steps, so that will be really fun. The Asian piece that we're going to do next time you're here, you might be doing a landscape like this. That's really fun. Might do the cherry blossoms. So you'll have 2 weeks to kind of gather. You can still use your watercolors that we used today like that, but maybe you've got some of these washable markers laying around the house. These are really fun to use. And I'm going to show you how they can be used as watercolors, even if they're dried up. Like you don't even think they're working anymore. These are going to be awesome. You're just going to be like, wow, I never thought I could use those as my watercolors. So I like to work with unconventional things like, as you can tell, bubbles and dried out markers. But it's fun to kind of discover what you have that you can just use. All right, I'm going to give this little guy a little dorsal fin as well. Oh, fun. You got to kind of know when it's too much black, because black will overpower the entire piece because it's such a bold, dark value. So a little black goes a long way. In fact, you won't find much black in here either. Okay, so it's getting there. It's getting there. All right, so I'm going to show you this one here again. So the things that we haven't touched on yet, we haven't touched on actually adding some shadow under the fish. So what I want to do at this point is show you how to make those fish look like they're floating, and there's a pool of shadow on the bottom of the pond. And then we're going to have fun with one last thing. Woo! Okay, so I'm going to clean off my brush because it's got a lot of black on it. Yep. And I want to create some shadows in the pond from the fish. So I'm going to dip it into purple. Purple is like my go-to shadow color. I just think it's, one, it's just a pretty color. Two, it's made up of blue and red, right? So let's see. So I have to decide where Mr. Sun is. If Mr. Sun is coming from my window, let's say it's coming from over here. Let's say my sun's coming from over here. Then my shadows are going to be on this side. Oop, that's a little too dark. I want it more watery. So this time, make sure your purple is more watery and less opaque. And I'm going to put a shadow around the fish. Now that shadow is just a very thin curved line following the edge of my fish. You see how it's translucent and it's picking up. I can still see the green underneath it. Okay, I'm going to try it on this one now. We got 3 times to try it out. Maybe you'll have it down by the 3rd fish. I think this is the part most people forget, is if you want it to look more 3-dimensional, you've got to somehow show your shadows for the change in value of color. So it's changing my blue-green and my green by adding that darker color. And I'm going to do it on the 3rd one. He's already next to purple, but he's not over here, which is where the sun's not shining. So I'm definitely going to put it over here. Maybe I'll put it between his little tail. I wonder scientifically what those are called. Somebody's going to have to write in and let me know. All of you biologists out there. What are those called? They're not feathers. It's definitely the shot. Put some over here. Oh, I really like that on top of the blue. Like he just swished into motion just right there. I hope you're enjoying this. This will be up on YouTube. If you missed any part of it, you could replay it, and probably it'll be up in 24 hours or so, and then you can redo it. Let's hope that you loved it the first time. But if you want to make another one, or just freeze it in the area where you needed to get caught up, or you didn't understand something, that's what's nice about being able to play it back. Yeah. Okay, so I've added a little bit of depth and dimension. They really look like they're swimming. Oh my gosh, makes me want to get in the pool, especially in the heat we're having here. Okay, so this is my last really fun thing to do. I love to splatter paint, and since this is water and things are moving and there's just a lot going on, I think it would be really fun for us to splatter paint over the top of this. It adds another dimension to it. It gives it just a bit of whimsy and texture. So the trick to splatter painting is making sure you don't have anything that you don't want to get wet around you. Of course, I have my computer screen right in front of me. That's probably not so great, but we're going to risk it anyway. So what I'm going to do is take 2 brushes. You might have only had one today, but so you could use your pencil as your other tapping device. So you'll need 2 that you're going to use to tap, like this. So if you just have a pencil and your brush, right, then the pencil will be in one hand and you'll be tapping with the brush that has the paint on it. You can do tiny little taps so that the spray is not so wide and your little dots will be really tight, or you can really push hard and you're going to get some big dots onto the page. So I'm going to move some things out of the way so I don't make too big a mess. Obviously, I could do 2 different colors of tap. I could do some blue spots, and I think I did blue and green on this one. Yeah, you can see the dots closer here. So I've got blue and green dots on this one. So that's what we're going to try to achieve. And this is so fun. We've only got about 10 minutes left, so I love it at this point where we can kind of wrap it up and add a little bit of texture to it. And then I can probably see your work. So I'm going to get my brush and I am going to put it into, let's say, I haven't used blue in a while. Oh, but I'm out of blue. I used up all my blue. I'm like Julia Childs. I got another tray here just in case. All right, here we go. So I got some blue on this brush, but I'm going to use my pencil as my thing to tap against. And it's making tiny little dots. I can see Kendra doing it. Yay! It's so fun, and it really adds to it. I don't know about you, but it's really sitting on top of the page right now for me. If I hit really hard, I might get some big ones. But be careful, you might get it all over your phone or something else. So I just love how that adds more texture to my work. And everybody loves doing this. I don't care how old you're. This is too fun. Okay, now I think I want to add a different color. Maybe this time I'm going to do, what did I say? I used green before. I might use green this time. So I'm going to put my brush into some green. That's kind of close to my blue. Maybe I'll switch it up a little bit. Maybe I'll do red. Or you could do white, you know, if you were to get your hand on some of that white I was talking about. Comes in the tube or a little watered down acrylic paint. This white would add something to it. Maybe I'll just show you for the sake of showing you what a little white would do. So I've got a little tube of white here, titanium white. Titanium. And I'm going to just put it into my little tray, just squirt a little bit into my tray right there. You don't need very much, obviously, just a tiny bit. By the way, if you feel like this is getting dried up, or these feel like they're no good, these are called cakes. It is supposed to dry up. You activate it by adding water. And if I felt like this was really hard, it's just because it's dried up. Just clip the bottom and add water, and you got it back. So you don't have to go buy new stuff. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to dip that in a little bit of white paint, just for fun, just to see what happens. Take my pencil. Oh my gosh, let me move it into the screen because you're going to love that. If it's not tapping or coming off, you don't have enough water on here. Oh gosh, I'm getting it all over my computer. You do not want to see that right now. Ta-da! But you can see those tiny little dots of white. They're so cute. Hey, I'm going to tilt my screen up, or my camera, so I might be able to see you, and I'll hold my art up because I think it's dry enough for me to hold it up. Okay. So I've got three fish kind of marching along here. And I'm going to show you this one here, which is not wet. And then maybe you can show me yours too. Oh my gosh, look at your fish. Oh, they look fantastic. Oh, good job, Carolyn. Those are nice, Janice. Oh, Nika, those are beautiful. Your kids will love doing that. Oh my gosh, Janice, that's really nice. Yay! It is really fun. It's very fun. Oh, these look beautiful. Colette. Oh my gosh, Sonia. Oh, and I love how small and cute it is. I love that.